Hello, and welcome back to SCR. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit differently. I'm not going to be uh, doing a live gameplay. Instead, I'm just going to basically go over and talk about how much Zone C has changed, or more specifically, the whole airport section as a whole has changed since this most recent update. First of all, this update is probably it might be the biggest change I've seen in a while, and I think it might be my favorite update purely because of how they've changed Zone C. Zone C went from the easiest zone to signal and the smallest zone to, in my opinion, I think it might be the hardest zone to signal now. And there's a lot of factors that weigh into that I'll get into. But it's overall, I'm loving the new change in terms of the driving and the signaling. I haven't done any guarding or dispatching on any of these stations yet, but I do plan on doing that in the future. But the whole change as a whole it has been really good. It really needed a bit of an update, and it got a massive update. So, what is new with this zone? And what is new with the airport zones? So, originally, most of the airport stations were only accessible via the airlink. That is no longer the case for Terminal 2. Terminal 2 has now got access to Connect services and Waterlight services. Connect services come through their normal two lines on the left there into Airport Central, and they can choose, if they've got the correct route selected, to continue forward and go off into Terminal 2. Waterline services come in just below the Airport Central station on the signalling map. They can choose to go down to Stepford, which is one of the new stations, or they could go straight ahead towards Terminal 2. This is such a... I wasn't 100% sure how I felt if they connected Waterline to the airport, but the way that they've done it worked out so well. And the way that Terminal 2 has been set up with all these switch junctions and all that, in some cases it could be a lot easier to organize traffic because they've got multiple options to take in terms of their tracks. Therefore, more spacing to send trains out. But let's talk about what I think the hardest part of Zone C is, and that's Airport Central. Now, Airport Central has multiple different signals. So from platforms 0 to 2 are Connect service platforms. They can be used. They're normally used for terminating Connect services to Airport Central, or they'll be used for services that are continuing from there. No other service can basically go onto these platforms. However, from platforms 3 to 5 are different. 3 to 5 can serve Connect and Airlink services. Now, it can only serve Airlink services that are going towards Terminal 2 and 3. Connect services that are leaving Terminal 2 to come back towards Airport Central will get access to these platforms, along with Platform 6 as well. But if you're going towards Airport Central from Airport Parkway, you'll only get access to 3 to 5. But if you're coming towards Airport Central from Terminal 2, you'll get access to 6 to 3. Which brings me to this little section of that area. They have needed to put a junction that connects to 3, 4, 5, and 6 in order to divert the Connect services back to the Connect line. Or otherwise, they'll be stuck on the AL line, and that wouldn't be advisable for them. This makes monitoring your trains a little bit more difficult because you have to make sure that these are either Connect services or Airlink services. And you've got to determine about which one you're going to let them go through. I think there's typically only one service. I think it's a Stepford Victoria service that goes from Terminal 2 back to Stepford Victoria, obviously, but I think that's it. There might be a different variation that I don't know of, but we'll see. And the most tricky part is that the two entry signals for the AL side, the Airlink side, not so much the Connect side, you have to basically make sure, what I've been doing to avoid SPADs, is basically having one red and one yellow or proceed or whatever, to make sure that the trains that are entering, let's just say that there's 2 trains coming in, and you've got these 2 signals. I would set one to proceed, just to avoid the other one from spadding in case they were allocated to the same station. And doing that with a multiple amount of trains coming from both directions, I think is quite a tricky part in the zone. And I do quite love it. It has that challenging flair to it. You're going to be always on your toes. The next section is Terminal 3. Now, Terminal 3 is weird. And it's weird for a good reason. So, Terminal 3, you've got your 3 terminal stations here. You have the triangle that determines whether you're going up towards Terminal 3 or back or straight ahead to Terminal 2, avoiding Terminal 3, as some services do that. But the way that you enter from the top, let's just say from the north. You enter in from the north, you have to go along basically the opposite side of the track. You have your junction there, so you can access 1 to 3, respectively. And then you have to leave out that same direction, but obviously on the left-hand side of the track. And services coming from Terminal 2 will also need to be using the left side to access and then go up back onto the other side of the track on their way out. And this is weird in the sense of the entrance point. Instead of just cutting across the tracks to be on the other side of the track. Although in visual look on this map, it does seem strange. It's like, oh, you could just connect the lines together and then you'll be able to cross over. But when you're actually driving, it's a lot more. These signals are more like next to each other than anything. And the whole the whole thing is just it's not something us signalers would have had to deal with in the past. There's obviously your LC, Leighton West to Leighton City section, which is basically a one track with a divider in the mix to, or not just have a fucking straight line of a track going to the station. But this is definitely on the unique side, and it can be. I think Terminal 3, I believe, is the easiest part, or the easiest junction of the zone. But then we move on to Terminal 2. Now, Terminal 2, a lot of these signals have to be read because there's so many conflicting junctions involved with this whole section, as well as a depot to the left here, and then you've got your junctions at Airport West that connect to your waterline services that go down to Stepford and James Street. And a lot of the time, it's going to be a very snail pace proceeding to get everyone in and out, providing that you're having lots of traffic coming in and lots of traffic coming out. A lot of the times, I'll find that I have filled up a lot of the stations at Terminal 2 with still plenty more trains to come, and I have to basically send one out, send one in, send one out, send one in, just to keep a consistent flow of trains along the main line and along the Terminal 2. In some cases, I will just bulk up the station. If I've got time, I'll just send 2 or 3 trains in just to fill it up, just to get them off the main line. A lot of the time, it's going to be a lot of at the moment, everyone is currently driving it, so traffic may change depending on who's driving on it. But at the moment, it's a bit of a snail pace back and forth. Let one in, let one out, let one in, let one out. It's usually the whole section there. But overall, the change that they've done to this is amazing. Obviously, Benton Bridge is also the same. Airport Parkway has been changed. They have a terminating service. I'm a little disappointed that the 7 car that was introduced to the Airlink is only a shuttle for the Airlink, but I could kind of understand why. That's an amazing train, by the way. I do really enjoy that. Yeah, I think that's a lot of Zone C. And now we'll just go down to Zone G, which is the new zone, which is now the easiest and the smallest zone that there is. It is extremely easy. It is absolutely like baby's first steps, if you will. So you've got a depot up at the top there towards Airport West. You got that depot coming out. You've got a depot. You got 2 depots at Stepford. One going towards the station and one going away from the station. And then you've got James Street. You have Rosedale, Stepford, and then there's another station somewhere. Fallage. I don't know the platform names too well at the moment. But yeah. In fact, I need to check on the Discord for this. When they announced that they were planning on extending the water line on the 23rd of the 1st. So this is about a year and a half ago, maybe a year and a third ago. Because this was in 2021. Because they had a vote. They had a vote if they wanted more Connect services or more Walk line services. And if we voted for the Connect service, James Street would have been the terminus. But they said that they would have added one more stop to the James Street line. And they didn't do that. They had 3 more stations. Along with that, they went up above and beyond the expectation that was announced about a year and a half ago. Was it even? It's close to a year and a third. We'll just say that. So far, scenery-wise, on the whole update has been phenomenal, and it's really taken a turn from Zone C being one of the easiest zones to basically being, I think, could be considered one of the hardest zones. A lot of zones have their unique points. Zone A is basically where most trains are. Zone C, I think its unique point is basically airport. The multiple amount of airport stations, like Airport Central, Terminal 3, unique entrance point, and just a little bit of clutter at Terminal 2. It's very unique. It has its own unique personalities. Zone E? Yes, Zone E, the latent Limb by the Sea area. It has its unique express lines section of it, where there's 2 express lines in the middle, and they just go for it. And you can manage between Connect services and all that. And Benton used to have its uniqueness of basically being the only zone to have, almost the only zone to control waterline. The only exception is the Morganstown section of when they're doing the shuttles. And it's no longer the case, as the introduction of Zone G. But this has been an amazing update as a whole, and I do personally think that Zone C is the hardest zone at the moment. The layout is also very, very amazing. It's quite confronting when you first jump into it, but yeah. Before I go, let me know what your favourite station or favourite part of the new update is. I did also mention that I did mention that City Hospital got updated. I'm not sure how I feel about that. The station looks alright, but it just looks impractical with how they've done it. With the 2 center tracks, the 2 center platforms. I'm not sure how I feel about that. But yeah, anyway. Leave it to the end of the video. Take care and ciao.